All right, so we are here with Mr. Ozzie Gomez.
Yay! Good afternoon and happy Friday.
How do I introduce you, man? I like to go Ozzie Gomez, president of, can you help me there?
I'm really not big on titles.
Yeah.
I always joke around and say I'm just the guy that pays the bills.
All right, well, there you go. Now we're here with Ozzie Gomez, just the guy who pays the bills. So before we jump into you, your background, your company, all the stuff you guys do, let's talk about the cigar that we're smoking. So on the regular show, we're smoking the Tatuaje Lomo de Cerdo, but on this one, we are smoking the Seis Provincias, the Camagüey edition. So CMW for those of you scoring at home. We lit it a little bit ago.
Right off the light, it's spectacular in my opinion. Maybe I have a little bit of a biased opinion because it's a dear friend of mine who is a manufacturer, but also it's my mom's hometown, Camagüey.
Oh, your mom's from Camagüey. Cool. Yeah. So Camagüey, obviously a province in Cuba, which is why Las Seis Provincias. What about you, Ivan? What do you think about it?
I've always loved this specific Seis Provincia. They're all I think they've got like 3 or 4.
I think it's 4, yeah.
But this one's my favorite one.
Yeah. Well, we also did a photo shoot with it.
that was excellent
and loved it. And the photo shoot came out amazing. If you haven't seen it,
go check it out.
Yeah.
But I think there's a certain balance to this one in specifically that I totally enjoy. It's got it's a smooth like black pepper. Everything's in balance, not overpowering. I love it. It's very elegant.
But there's also a really nice sweetness there.
Sweetness, yeah.
Right. It's like a earthy sweetness with like some raisin type.
Yeah, at times
dark fruit.
Some guys will relate the pepper was a little harsh at the time, but I'm getting the same thing. We're getting a little creaminess in between. You're not getting an afterbite.
Yeah, I agree. I love this freaking cigar. So anyway, now that we've talked about the cigar a little bit, so Ozzie, your background. So today, I know you pay the bills, but you also own retail cigar lounges. So you started with, or I should say you came into the cigar world through a store you opened, a lounge you opened in Fort Lauderdale called Downtown Cigar Bar.
Yes.
What did you do before that?
Just before that, I was a police officer.
Well, there you go. Police officer.
Just before that, I dabbled a bit, real estate back and forward. I was in law enforcement, in and out for some time, and went back into law enforcement after the real estate crash. Just got a little burnt out. Went back into law enforcement. I was there for another 4 or 5 years, and I made a promise to myself that the next venture I did, I wanted to do something that I was truly passionate about, something I truly enjoyed, not so much for monetary purposes, but clearly something that I had a passion for. So coincidentally, and this was not planned at all, I reached out to a good friend, Erik Espinosa, and I said, hey, I understand you've been in the business some time. I'm very intrigued by your business. I would like to venture into the business. I just don't know in what capacity, whether to start a cigar, whether to open up a lounge, so on and so forth. And Erik says, hey, how'd you like to come over to Nicaragua with me? I just started a factory over there, La Zona. And I said, I would love to. I said, is it okay if I bring a friend? So I invite a friend of mine who's also a business mentor of mine. And I give him a call, and it was kind of a silly question, but I said, hey, man, how'd you like to go to Nicaragua and see, the entire back end of the industry from seed to smoke? I couldn't finish my sentence. He says, absolutely, I'm in. So we fly to Nicaragua. This is in 2014. And, Erik, amazing host,
yeah, and
takes us around and shows us all the ins and outs. And it was a very, very informative. And on my flight back, sitting on the plane, and my buddy, Laz, who I pretty much grew up with, Laz and Leo, says to me, what's bothering you? And I said, man, I'm really sort of stuck in the middle here. I said, I've got a decision I have to make. I go, my wife is pregnant. Well, let me backtrack. He says, I want you to tell me all of the reasons why this is a bad idea. You're considering opening up a lounge. You're obviously on the fence about it. It's a risk, like any new business is. But I want you to tell me every single reason why you believe it's a bad idea. So I said, first off, the timing is off. My wife's pregnant. This is how much funds I have, so on and so forth. And pretty much 5 minutes in, and he says to me, "Is that it?" And I said, "Well, yeah. I mean, I thought my wife being pregnant was kind of significant."
Yeah, that was like an ace.
Yeah. And he says, "Okay, now I'm going to tell you all of the reasons why it's a good idea." And that was the remainder of the 2-hour and 2.5-hour flight. And when we landed back in Miami, I went home and I told my wife, we're going to open up a cigar bar. I'm going to resign from the police department. We're going to build this thing, and I'm going to put, all my
energy into it. Right? Yeah.
And thank goodness that was a Downtown Cigar Bar. Very, very small place, 1,000 square feet, but it has a very special place in my heart. That was our proof of concept. And I was very fortunate to have guys like Erik Espinosa on the cigar side to lean on for support and guidance. And then I had some friends of mine that were in the spirit side that I was able to lean on for guidance and support. But like everything, with every new venture, there's, you make some mistakes and you're in hopes that you learn from them and correct them. And that's sort of how we've evolved from 1,000 square foot in downtown Fort Lauderdale to just under 2,000 square feet in Coral Gables. We're the first and only full liquor cigar lounge in the history of Coral Gables. And then we're looking at 2 other ventures that...
yeah, we'll get into those in a second.
Very soon.
We'll get into those in a second, believe me. Now, you also have a partner in these businesses.
Yes, my partner Cito is a dear friend of mine. We've been friends for over 20 years.
How did you guys meet?
So our wives were actually school teachers, and we met through our wives 20 plus years ago. And I approached Cito when I got back, and I said, I'm thinking about doing this. He was another dear friend and business mentor. And I kind of went for him, to get some advice, some guidance, and he says, I want in. And I was, I said, okay. I didn't expect that, but it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer between his level of expertise in business and my drive. We ended up building that cigar bar, and thank goodness we just celebrated our 8-year anniversary there.
They're a great team. They're a great team. And by the way, I didn't know this backstory, but I would have thought Cito was the police officer.
He does. He looks more like the police officer, yeah.
Yeah, who's going to believe this short, fat guy was a cop? It was crazy.
Well, you're very humble in saying that you just pay the bills, but he is a gracious host when we're there.
Yeah.
And he's the ambassador of fun.
Oh, okay. I like that title. I should have started with that.
I should have put that on the business card.
Yeah, ambassador of fun.
There you go.
So funny other backstory there. So we actually went to elementary school together, and we lost touch completely. Right? I moved out of the neighborhood. He eventually moved out of the neighborhood, and when we launched Cigar Snob at Cuba Nostalgia in 2006, this guy's just walking through there, and I was selling cigars at the show to sort of pay for our booth. So this guy walks by, I'm like, hey, you like cigars? I'm trying to just sell him cigars. And he's like, yeah. You want to tell the story of
this is truly
from
one of
your
my
point of view
favorite
it was different.
Yeah, because as you're walking through this a festival type thing. It's a Cuban festival called Cuba Nostalgia, and I'm with my parents and so on and so forth. And you're walking through, and it's almost like you're walking through the mall. Sir, would you like to try this perfume? And I'm like, I don't want your Amway, sir. It was that kind of thing. But when he just said, hey, do you like cigars? I said, oh, okay, here's somebody I could talk to. And I said, yeah, absolutely. He says, I'm starting this magazine, so on and so forth. And as we're talking, sort of that blank stare, and I'm like, man, I know this guy from somewhere, but you don't want to seem like that creepy old guy. I know you from somewhere. And finally, Erik says, hey, man, I think, what college did you go to? And I said, man, unfortunately, I didn't go to college. I grew up, like the little cliche saying here, I grew up in the ghetto in Miami. And he goes, well, yeah, which one is that? Because I'm pretty familiar with those. And I said, I grew up in Carroll City. And he goes, oh, so did I, man. And I said, get out of here. We grew up on this street, so on and so forth, whatever. And as we're trying to pinpoint this, all of a sudden, and I'm very good with faces. I never forget face, but I'm terrible with names. But in this case, I said, wait a minute, man. Your name's Erik. And he goes, yeah. I go, your last name is Calvino.
Wow.
He goes, yeah. I go, dude, we were like the best friends in the 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And then it was
Holy
like
shit.
the light bulb turned on. We're like,
I still get
here,
goosebumps
man.
with that story.
Yeah,
great.
I absolutely love this story. And that's precisely how it went. And then from there, I was like, listen, I don't care what you're selling. I'm buying. I would love to support whatever you're doing. And I wasn't in the industry at the time. obviously when I got into the industry, it's one of the first people I called, and I said, hey man, this is what we're doing, and then when we opened up Galiano, I just had this vision, and we didn't want to overcrowd the place with artwork and so on and so forth. I said, hey man, I have this idea. I don't know if you'd be interested, but I want to do these beautiful magazine covers that you have. I'd like to put those on our wall and just highlight that. And he graciously accepted it. He said, absolutely. So that was something that I thought was very tasteful and just gave that lounge the touch it needed.
I think this is a great segue into what we wanted to get into, because one of the things what we were talking in the show is the things that you look for in a cigar lounge.
Correct.
Right? So this is a great segue, because the thing that comes to mind going into your place is starting at Downtown Cigar Bar and now at Galiano, is that I find it a very stylish and comfortable place from a visual standpoint and from a service standpoint. I love how I feel when I go in there, because it just, everything feels right. So if you want to segue now into...
So yeah, the question that the listener, Julius, from Effingham, Illinois, I think, what he asked was, what do you look for?
I got so many inappropriate things I'm thinking about right now.
Yes, I know. The name Effingham is special. We kind of already ran the gamut, but if you want to drop
No.
If you want to piss off some more people,
We'll keep it PG.
So what he asked was, what do you look for? Because he says that there's not many options where he lives, but when he travels, he always looks for cigar lounges. And what do you look for in a lounge? And so obviously, like Ivan said, there's selection, there's ambiance, there's service, there's drinks, right? So from the inside, what I thought would be cool to get from you was, when you started Downtown Cigar Bar, you had an idea of what you thought a consumer would be looking for, and you started that lounge within your limitations with that in mind. And then you graduated to Galiano and created a new experience, because they are, although both owned by you guys, they are very different. Right?
Yes, significantly.
So
as are the cities that they
correct.
occupy, they're significantly different. I joke around and say they're literally two different countries.
Yeah. No, you're not joking, right? I mean, they could be in different states, minimum,
Absolutely.
right? So one is in downtown Fort Lauderdale, across from the courthouse, right?
Yes.
And then the other one is in Coral Gables, posh, high-end Coral Gables, in a great little street there in Coral Gables, which gives you the name Galiano. But what was your initial idea when you started Downtown Cigar Bar? What was it that you thought someone would be looking for that you were going to give them?
So I think one of the things that sets us aside, and one of the things that we focus on from day one, South Florida, unfortunately, is not known for its service. There are times where you go places and it's like, what do you want? Grab it, go, get out of here type thing.
Yeah.
Our goal and our vision from day one was provide an environment, provide an atmosphere where people come in, and I've always wanted to have every walk of life. And I think that we've achieved that goal in the sense that you can be sitting in any of our lounges and you're sitting next to a prominent attorney or, really just every walk of life. Every walk of life. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're going to sit next to and spark a conversation with. We make it a point to introduce our guests to one another, and what's evolved from there is really, it's been our goal. I really take pride in seeing guys that say, hey, I just scored the biggest deal of my life, at your bar. I just did this, or I just met an individual that's helping me with this, or we're all going to meet back over there because that's where we all met, and we all get together and, maybe conduct a little business at the beginning and then sit back and relax towards the end, whatever the case is. But, it was part of my vision to have every walk of life, to have people that are like-minded and people that are, professional and at the same time can kick back and not be offended. It's a bit of an unusual time that we're living, and we always just focus on, hey, leave the drama outside of the doors. When you come in here, we're all family. We sincerely treat it as our living room, and we want people to feel as such. So it means a lot to me to hear Ivan say, hey, when I go there, I just, I leave all my troubles in the car. I come back in here, and we crack a joke, and and there's nothing better than making fun of one another at the time. I think sometimes we get a little bit too wound up, and we lost track of that. Just you got to laugh, man. And there's no better laughter at times than laughing at yourself.
If you were going to put, because you said every walk of life, and then you said like-minded individuals. So if you were going to put that like-minded individuals, what is that like mind? Because it's a broad one, but
so we have a shared interest. We all like the same. We
Correct.
like cigars. We like a nice fine spirit. We like, So that's what I meant by like-minded individuals.
Yep.
We can be from completely different paths, but we are sharing one thing in common: is the love for and the passion for cigars.
yeah, that's why I asked you the question, because when you say all walks of life and then like-minded individuals, some people would hear that and say, wait a minute, that's a contradiction. But it's not, because that's the beauty of cigars, right?
Yeah, I'm sure
Like,
you
as
guys
long as we can share this, then we can cross any bridge. Well, what's your hang up and what's mine? We can cross it as long as we have this shared appreciation of this product.
I completely agree. I'm sure you guys have been to many, many cigar lounges throughout the country and outside of the country. And it's something that when you sit down, you don't meet people, or I don't believe that you meet the camaraderie and just the vast, what's the word I'm looking for here, the diversity of people that you meet in a cigar lounge. But
It's hard to find it in another, let's say, hobby or niche. So you were looking to do that. Then when you started Galiano, and again, maybe we didn't introduce it properly, but Galiano Cigar Room in Coral Gables.
yes,
That's the one that has the artwork, the Cigar Snob artwork on the walls. You see it all the time in social media, right? It's a beautiful place in a beautiful neighborhood. The staff is, as much as I love the artwork on the walls, your staff is the key to the whole thing.
that means the world to me, because that is our goal.
That's the key to they are amazing.
Yeah.
So when you now thought, all right, we're gonna double down. We have for Downtown Cigar Room, Downtown Cigar Bar, and now we're gonna double down and open this, which will be the biggest investment you will have made at that time, I imagine.
Yes.
So what were you thinking there? So how did you adjust your goal of what you were going to provide customers with when you opened Galiano? So it was like a maturation, maybe.
Coral Gables, oddly enough, was not a market we were looking at. At the time, we were looking at over in North Broward, and the city that we were looking at, it's very, very difficult to find a city zoning landlord that will allow our use.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're sort of the ugly duckling. The minute that you say we're going to consume cigars and alcohol in this spot, many people it's a deterrent to. Many landlords it's a deterrent to.
That's our office.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That we deal with the same thing.
that's our world. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were having some challenges there, and Cedal says to me, "Hey, what about Coral Gables?" And I said, "I'll be honest with you, I haven't even hung out in Coral Gables. I moved to Broward 20 plus years ago." I said, "I couldn't tell you what's going on there." And he says, "Well, they're doing this new streetscape project. They're doing all these renovations. They're going to shut down Giralda to pedestrian traffic only, so on and so forth." And we said, let's go take a look. And we went. We had lunch there with the wives. When we got the bill, I said, "Yeah, I think we should look into this," because the bill was substantial. So I go, "All right, we should
It's
really
very
look into
different
this."
than Broward.
Yeah. And luckily we met with a realtor that specializes in Coral Gables. Went to see a place on Miracle Mile. Didn't really fit what we were looking for, and coincidentally, he had gotten a new listing that was not on the market. And he says, "How'd you like to look at this other spot? A little bit smaller than what you're looking for, but I think it's a great location." And we started there with a completely clean slate. It was just concrete and dust. So we're known for building from below ground up. We cut the slab and started from below ground up, and then what you see today, that was Galiano Cigar Room.
So what sort of need were you trying to fill there? So I know you sort of backed into it because you were not expecting to do Coral Gables. But then once you said, all right, yeah, let's do Coral Gables, what could you bring to Coral Gables that perhaps wasn't there before or no one else could do?
I think one of the key elements that I kept mentioning to the city officials is that we wanted to do something very tasteful that would complement the city. We weren't looking to reinvent the wheel. We weren't looking to do something that wasn't going to be to the level of what Coral Gables is accustomed to. obviously there's some loopholes and some hurdles and so on and so forth, because Coral Gables is a city
One of the
that's-
most difficult cities to work with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which is why there had never been a bar, like a real just bar. Even though there was a place called The Bar that this guy and I hung out in. By this guy, I'm talking about Ivan. We hung out in that place a million times, but that wasn't a true bar because it had a restaurant, it had a food component. Right? So for like a true bar, we're talking about a bar that does not, a venue that serves alcohol and does not serve food.
And there have been cigar shops.
Correct. There have been
But
cigar shops,
not-
but never cigar
Never
bars.
cigar bar.
significant difference.
Yeah.
Significant.
Yeah.
Everything from zoning to the overall experience, in my opinion. I know me personally, when I'm having a cigar, I love nothing better than a nice aged rum or a nice fine single malt, and it's quite different.
Did we drop the ball here by not offering him?
I know.
We were
This is
drinking
our
rum on the
this
show.
is our aged rum
Yeah.
episode.
All right. You keep talking. I'm gonna serve some rum.
Oh man, what a treat!
So there's nothing better when you're going to a place that has, an aged rum, a single malt, and you're enjoying your cigar at the same time.
Just
There's
a completely different experience.
Exactly.
I mean, look, we all have the option to sit in the backyard and get chewed up by mosquitoes and have a drink and
Absolutely.
a cigar there. But being able to come into a nice lounge with a proper temperature and proper environment, and most important, service.
Yeah.
Most important, the experience. We tell our staff often, we don't sell cigars here. We don't sell spirits here. What we sell is an experience, an environment. And, it's quite important that when the guest comes into our establishment, that they know that they're very welcome. They know that the minute they come in there, the question is, how's your day going? Oh, it's going phenomenal. Excellent. Thank you for coming and sharing that spirit, sharing that experience with us and sharing that positivity with us. And listen, if you're having a rough day, it's our job to turn that around and make it a lot more pleasant.
And when your drink's low, would you like another one?
Precisely.
One thing that you've kept out of most of your lounges is food. Some places have food components, but if you've decided to leave that out, which has its pros and cons, whatever. But I think in your neighborhoods, I mean, you'll explain better than me. I mean, it's yours. But I mean, there's a food ambiance in that neighborhood already. So you might be coming in after your meal, but you've decided to keep it out. What's the reasoning behind that?
Some legalities, and in order to do it properly, you need to have an area specifically for that, a food prep area, so on and so forth. And there are some legalities involved where smoking in the same location where you're generating X amount of revenue from smoking or from spirits. But Florida does have a law that states that if you're serving, you have to be serving 51% of food. You cannot smoke indoors. In our case, we'd rather stay away from it entirely. And what we do is we partner with local restaurants in the area, and we welcome their guests to bring food in. And whether we've had restaurants literally next door that they just make a short menu for us and they walk the food right over. So we have the benefit of having a food component without dealing with the headaches that come with it.
So Coral Gables is known as a food haven. It's got a bunch of great restaurants. So now if you want to transition into Tabacon, Doral is an up and coming city here in South Florida, and where you're located, which is it
Downtown Doral.
Downtown Doral. I think that it started up almost as a food establishment with like retail, residential, and now you're looking at that as the next big thing.
Yes, that location there, Doral is the largest growing city in Dade County. They just surpassed over 90,000 residents, full-time residents, and in addition to that, the transients there between business, between vacation, between it's definitely a destination location. I mean, it's a spectacular city. The city has never had a full liquor cigar lounge, and we were honored when the landlord actually approached us and said, we had a colleague go over to your Coral Gables location, and we would like for you guys to replicate that and bring it to our establishment.
Oh, so they reached out to you.
They reached out to us.
Oh, that's great.
Which is very unlikely.
That's not common.
No.
Not common at all. Not common at all, but we're fortunate that now the tables have sort of turned a little bit. We've had more than one developer approach us and say, hey, we love the concept, we love how tasteful you guys did it, and we'd like for you to consider it for our project.
But it looks like it's going to be different. So how are you trying to make it different?
This one is significantly different. This is going to be the largest project that I've done, myself and with my partners, obviously. But we wanted to do something significant. It is the first and only full liquor cigar bar in the city of Doral, and it's approximately 4,000 square feet. So it's larger than both of our existing locations put together. But we had a vision there of doing something very, very tasteful, something that isn't necessarily common for the area, almost a Vegas-style lounge that happens to sell cigars.
Yeah, so the place, we can say, right, this show's going to air before the grand opening. So it's much more underway than what it sounded like when you guys were talking a second ago.
Right.
It sounded like it was, an idea that you had in the distance. No, it is built out. It is just about ready to go.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it's been a year and a half.
So tell us about how, because for this project, this is, again, as you mentioned, a much bigger project. And so you needed more partners to bring it, to fill in other weaknesses that you may have had, right? So how did that come about? Because we've met Louis. We think he's a great dude, but we don't know him from as a business partner, right? We know him as a guy who hangs out in the cigar shop with us, right? So tell us how that third partner, so it's you, Cito, and now Louis.
Correct.
And so how did that partnership come about?
In a cigar lounge.
At Galiano.
That's where it all
at
starts.
Galiano, the relationships that you make in a cigar lounge, the friendships that you make in a cigar lounge, and the most unique people you'll ever meet in your life, you'll meet in a cigar lounge.
Yep.
And the beauty of it is these are friends that become family. And fortunately, he had a great interest in our world. I kept saying, "Are you sure?" He's a very successful guy, and again, I always revert back to a book that I read many years ago called 10 Clowns Don't Make a Circus. And one of the premises of that book is hiring people based on your weaknesses. Well, in this case, we didn't hire Louis. We approached him about an opportunity, and he approached us about an opportunity with this location, and he knew that we were looking to venture off into other locations. We sat down and we basically, it was a no-brainer for me. I mentioned to Cito, our other partner, and he says, I'm definitely in. But just the strengths that we each bring to the table, although diverse and although different in every aspect, I think it's what creates a strong team. And I think you'll be very pleased with the outcome. Yeah,
we're excited as we're producing artwork for those walls as well. So that's exciting to me to see what that massive space looks like with our covers on the wall. So thank you for inviting us to dress this location like we did at Galiano. That means a lot to us. I love it when I see a post that anyone is at Galiano, and you see our covers in the background. That for me is, every time I see it, I get a thrill, and so I can't wait to see it in this location, right? Because we put a ton of effort into those photo shoots. Specifically, Ivan, that's Ivan's baby. He produces every single photo shoot, and so to see the fruit of those labors, celebrated in that way for us is huge, right?
As they should, man. As they should. The covers are spectacular, and it's funny. A business partnership is just essentially another marriage. You have your ups and your downs, and you have your disagreements, and there are certain things that it's like, well, I like it like this, and I prefer it that way, and so forth. But when it came to, all right, are we putting these beautiful covers on these walls? There was no question about it. Everybody said, absolutely. Why? We were thinking about doing something else. We said, no, absolutely. These things are spectacular. What you guys create, it speaks for itself. The covers are just breathtaking.
I'll tell you the best part about it. Obviously, going in there and looking at them is great. The best feeling in the world is when it's a bunch of guys partying while they're there, and then they take a little selfie in front of them and send it to you while they're having a great time. Yeah. So I can't wait to see Tabacon, which is going to be the ultimate party, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully Donald Trump which I hear is a rumor he's going to be at the grand opening, right? Because he's getting
His
a
golf
locker.
course is across the street.
His golf course is across the street, and he's getting a locker, is what I hear,
Oh,
right?
boy.
I can't wait till he
Oh, my
texts me
God.
under one of the covers. Hey, look at me! Look where I'm at.
And
Oh,
this is
boy.
why I'm just a guy that pays the bills, man, because Ivan knows a whole lot more than I do.
Yeah. Hey, let's give a quick toast here to all of your success,
Thank you so much.
our friendship for all these years.
Nat,
Cheers.
Matt, thank you guys. All right, real quick.
And what is it that we're drinking?
Well, take a
Or
sip
should we
first and let me know what you think. So first, I want you to tell me where you think it's from. Part of the world. Because you drink a lot of rum. And Terrence will tell you that whenever he's come on the show, there's always a booze quiz associated with it.
This is spectacular. Very creamy.
I don't want to have 10 minutes of silence.
right?
So-
right.
So I'm going to venture to say that is Dominican, although I believe I'm wrong. But nowadays, there's so many hybrids nowadays with rums being finished in bourbon casks and being finished in Japanese whiskey and so on and so forth. It's so difficult at times to really pinpoint it.
Does it
But-
taste cheap?
No, at all, at all.
All right, so it's Central America. It's not the Caribbean. So it's a Central American rum. You carry it. In fact, the rep for the company was at your 4-year anniversary at Galiano. I was hanging out with him.
Now I feel absolutely terrible. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
And it's always tough, man, when you have the anniversary parties, and we just celebrated the 8-year anniversary in downtown, the 4-year anniversary at Galiano, and people say 4 years, and I said, yeah, we had the COVID in between, so it was as challenging as that was. We had to skip over one of the anniversaries there, but we're very fortunate, man, that we see 3,000 to 4,000 guests a month, and in there, I always joke around. I said, you're shaking babies and kissing hands with everybody. But I think you stumped me on this one. I'm really good at these interview stuff.
Yeah.
Especially
So-
cameras and microphones.
Well,
It's-
I mean, it's a refreshing interview that we're having here, because
course.
most of the people that we have on here are either very we're cigar blenders or manufacturers, or we have people who work directly
tough
with
to
their
stump 'em.
spirits, so that they know their own product, right? So they can speak very eloquently, because that's what they do. That's their sales pitch. But you have all of it, right? And this is not what you don't do this for a living.
we have a lot of them.
You're hospitality.
I'd like to say that we have one of the greatest rum selections in town, with the exception of some of the big boys. But I can tell you in Fort Lauderdale, no doubt about it, we have the greatest rum selection in town. And, it also helps. We truly appreciate it and really enjoy the rum.
Even though we can't identify it, but that's okay. No,
Yeah, I know.
that's fine.
I'll tell you some of my favorites. Flor de Caña is truly one of my favorites. Flor de Caña, Brugal, Exquisito. Those are some of my go-to. If you come to my home and we jump in the liquor cabinet, we're talking Flor de Caña 18, Brugal. It's really, really sort of my go-tos.
So here's the crazy thing. Usually when I go to a cigar lounge or whatever, I'll usually have whiskey or a bourbon, a scotch, or maybe beer. When I'm at Galiano, which is my home bar because it's right down the street from my house, I always drink wine. The wine selection is awesome.
Really?
That's
I've
what
never had one.
I always drink wine there.
I will attribute that to my partner, Cito. I am not a wine guy. Coincidentally, I was just in Napa for 4 days. Loved it. Spectacular. Really, really cool. Small boutique and very large, your fardientes and that kind of stuff. But I will be honest, the minute we got back to the hotel, I said, that was really cute. I'd like a Macallan on the rocks.
I'm not having any fucking
Yeah.
Merlot.
Let's get right back to business here. This was really cute what we did here.
That's funny. So we're drinking the Flor de Caña 130th anniversary.
See, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it's a monster.
The 18 is my go-to. Our mutual friend is always very kind, and he has had me sample the 25. They are now coming out, the 30, or I'm sorry, they have a 30, I believe.
So the 130th anniversary is 20 years aged.
Well, thank you so much, because I have not had this,
Yeah.
and I will make sure to bust his balls about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is available. It is generally available. I just don't know,
Highly allocated. I mean, he takes good care of us.
Yeah.
And he's a supporter. But at times,
I mean, look, he was at your anniversary party, so that you're,
no,
definitely a
great guy.
supporter.
Great guy. But I will tell you this, in their defense, and this was a conversation that I had with a brand ambassador from McAllen. During the pandemic, I guess in a jokingly way, everybody's at home thinking, well, I think we may die. Well, no one was at home drinking cheap stuff. They were drinking the good stuff.
Yep.
And that caused a problem for us once we were able to open our doors, because the suppliers, I mean, they were just, his exact words to me, I said, hey, listen, I need Macallan 18. I need a case of Macallan 18. And he says, here's our issue, is that it takes 18 years to make Macallan 18. So we can't speed this up. Yeah. And everybody was at home drinking good stuff.
Yeah, it was like all of the allocation and all that, it went to what's called off-premise.
Sure.
And so it's like everything went to, I mean, the level of premiumization across the board on tequilas, on rums, on whiskeys was crazy. You're right. No one was drinking crap at home.
There's so many good spirits out nowadays too, man. It's really challenging to really stay to one thing. I mean, in our demographic, and what I mean by that, our guests are typically, let's say, 30s to 50s, kind of set in their ways. Once you get to a certain point in life, you say, hey, listen, Macallan is what I drink.
Yeah, I don't want to mess around.
I don't want to
mess around.
Glenlivet's what I drink.
Yeah.
So it's very challenging in that world when you come in, and it really translates to our world in the cigar industry as well. When you come in with a new product, and what do I pitch to the guy that drinks Macallan 18? I say, hey, would you like to try that? Hey, man, stop playing games. Give me my drink.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we focus on is we're in the business of listening, not arguing. So yeah, we want to please our guests. We want to make sure we make recommendations, and when there's new products out, we give them some samples, and we do tasting events. Every month we do a cigar and whiskey pairing, cigar rum pairing, cigar and bourbon pairing. I think we're one of the only lounges that every cigar event that we do, we offer the guest a complimentary bottle of the spirit that we're featuring.
You started doing that in downtown, and the first time I saw that, I was like, what? Like you'd get a bottle of Glenlivet or whatever it was.
When you purchase a box of what we're featuring.
Yeah.
One of the perks is you have the option of getting a discount on what we're featuring that day, or a complimentary bottle of what we're featuring that day. And those bottles at times could be upwards of $60, $70, $80. So we've done it with Balvenie, we've done it with Macallan's, we've done it with Glenlivet. We always want to pair it something very tasteful with that cigar to where it becomes a no-brainer.
And when you do, now I'm curious, because although I've known about that and I've been impressed by it, I don't think I've ever attended one, because we're busy as hell over here too. So what do you do on the, is it a guided pairing? So does the spirits person present the different expressions, and then does the cigar person present whatever cigar you're pairing with that? How does that whole thing work?
In most cases.
Or is it just like, here you go, here are the three, let's go free for all?
No, in most cases we try to pair it with that spirit, with that cigar brand, but we do have multiple facings of that cigar brand. So, we try to give and cater to our crowd, where we'll have something light, medium, full, so on and so forth. You can't really please everyone, so we try to find something that's going to cater to most. So that's what we usually do, is we try to find something that's going to cater with a medium blend that will cater to most of our guests' palate. But there's no 100 proof.
Well, there is 100 proof, but it's usually a spirit. So that's cool, man. That's good stuff. So Tabacon is set to open May 20th, which is coincidentally Cuba's Independence Day. Well, back when Cuba gained its independence from Spain, which also coincidentally is when we launched Cigar Snob. We launched it at that festival, like I talked earlier. So the 20th, Tabacon opens. What's the address of the place? That way people can find it who are from out of town and may travel.
Tabacon Cigars and Spirits is 5241 Northwest 87th Avenue. It's Suite D as in dog, 109. We're right on 87th Avenue, facing the Blue Monster, facing Trump National.
Yep. And you're next to Sports Grill, which is fantastic. You can have Miami's best wings.
Talk about a partnership. Those guys, man. I mean, it's as if we've known each other for 20 years.
That's awesome. We've always been fans of Sports Grill. When you're into wings, Sports Grill is where you go. There's no question about it, right?
Yeah, but there's so many great options. I love Sports Grill, but there's so many great options in that.
Specifically the wings for me are killer.
No, I'm saying in that downtown Doral area.
Oh, yeah.
I love Sports Grill, but there's so many great options in there.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot. But and then there are future projects in the hopper. Do you want to talk about those or no?
There are future projects. Well, we're gonna keep people in suspense on that one. But there are future projects in the makings.
So by future projects, we mean
another baby?
Yeah, new babies.
Another baby or babies.
But yeah, we are talking about cigar lounges. Thanks,
Yes.
Ivan. Thanks for confusing people.
Yeah, man. I'm kind of a masochist. Yeah, I've learned that I have a construction problem. I finish one, I get started right on the other one. But it's I really love the challenge. I really do.
Cool.
And one of the things that I really enjoy is that they're each unique, and in my opinion, they're only getting better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you. So that was part of why we brought you on today, is to talk about that sort of evolution of your view as a retail owner, as a lounge owner, right? So that Downtown Cigar Bar, very small, very cozy. Coral Gables, very high-end. Still just as cozy, though. And then now Tabacon, right? Triple the size. So, yeah, I'm excited for you. I can't wait to see the new place once it's... Yeah, obviously we've been there several times to set up where the artwork goes and all that. But can't wait to see it open. Can't wait to see that success. And the next ones, man. So congratulations on all your success.
Really appreciate the invite, man. I mean, I'm honored and to be able to share these experiences with a fellow a Carol City brother, like we say, not too bad for two kids from Carol City.
Yep. Well, thank you again, brother.
Congrats. You guys. Cheers.
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 All right. Thanks for watching the Share a Smoke segment of the Cigar Snob podcast. To watch a featured cigar one, you can click here. To watch an X's and O's segment, you can click here. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you're updated of the latest content. Follow us on social media, Cigar Snob Mag on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And go to the website, man. Go to cigarsnob.com. Check out the website. Check out our stuff. Subscribe to the magazine. Subscribe to the mailing list. And that's it. That's all I got, man. See you later.